Good evening, YouTube. So today we actually had a big change in our emblems. Now, if you haven't seen it because you're maybe not a member on the Discord or anything like that, then the only notification you will have had is this small notification here where it says down in the bottom here, updated some emblem effects. Now, this is like no relevant information like what is happening here, and I'll tell you what has happened. Actually, a lot of the emblems have changed, and I think it's important that we go through it together here to understand the benefit and the impact that these changes have, because it's nothing small. Actually, I do not understand why it's only one liner here in game, and then on Discord you get the big picture. But we did get a spreadsheet today, the Google Docs spreadsheet, where it tells us which changes have been done and which talents have been changed. And I'll see if I can do something together with you here. But let's just go through all of the talents here. So I'm going to take Giselle here, and we'll go through it together why you need to do this thing on your account as well. We've gotten 500 gems as a compensation to change all of our emblems. Every reset is $50, so you got 10 characters for free. Now, if you have a lot of characters like me, 500 gems is not going to cover all of the faction talent or all of the emblem talents that you need to change, but I guess it's better than nothing, right? And let's just take Giselle here because this is going to be a perfect example. So now if we take a look at Giselle here, she needs attack, she needs affected, mastery, and she's a dot damage dealer. She doesn't deal any direct damage. Now let's just go through all of the emblems here. So this one is still the same, crit rate is fine, attack is still the same. However, in this row down here we've had two changes to talents here. So this one out here, it used to be, I believe, like 6% damage dealt when you had full health. So now it's been changed into direct damage dealt, which means it's useless for Giselle, it's useless for Erato, it's useless for all your damage dealers that doesn't have the direct damage dealt tag in their kit, right? So we need to respec out of this because it's absolutely useless. She doesn't have any direct damage. Now direct damage is like Jingle Bell, it's like Milky, it's like your all of those heroes there is direct damage. Giselle, Erato, and everyone else is doing dot damage, which means damage over time, and that is something completely different than direct damage. So that is it's a nerf to like Giselle and Erato, but they do get buffs in other areas, and we'll go through that right now. For direct damage dealers, this is actually very nice. It's just a straight up 6% damage increase, because before it said when you are at full HP, which means that as soon as you start taking just 1% HP, you're not full anymore and you do not get the 6% direct damage buff. So with this here, you are gaining 6% damage done. Now the other talent here, this one here, it used to be a talent where, or an emblem where you did 12% more damage to targets when they had a shield on. It's now been changed to dot damage 6% instead of 12% for shield. So this one used to be 12% damage against shield on targets, attacks with shield, and now it's been changed to 6% for dot damage dealt, which means it's useless for Jingle Bell, it's useless for Milky, but it's very nice for dot damage dealers. We got 6% damage increase. And the last one here has not been changed. Do note that it says damage dealt by 6% and damage taken by 9%, and the damage dealt is actually a direct damage dealt, and then you gain 6% mastery for free. Doesn't say anywhere here on this emblem, but it does give you 6% mastery. But the downside is that you take 9% more damage, and that is not good. That is not good in PvE, it's not good in PvP. You don't want to take more damage, even though you're dealing more damage. And even for your go first cleave teams, I think in PvP this is still a very bad talent to take, because like Lydia will do 9% more damage to you before the battle starts. Your squishy DPS might even die or get low health HP and proc a Rato. Now, what else have been changed? Now in this row here, no changes have been made. This is still the old ones that we used to have. But this one down here has been changed. Let's go take a look here. So this one used to be the one where when you had a buff, any buff, you would get on a self buff and you would get the damage. Now it's after receiving any buff, all damage dealt by self is 4.5 until the battle ends. Cannot be stacked, so you just need to receive a buff, then you have 4.5% until the battle ends. That is huge, very nice. This one here used to be the one where if the CC target, you do more direct damage, and this is after any enemy is inflicted with a control debuff, direct damage dealt by self, 9% until the battle ends. Very huge for PvP, jingle bells, stuff like that. Put any CC on the enemy and you will now do 9% more DPS to the target the rest of the battle. That is very nice. And the last one here is for dot damage. It used to be the one where you when targets had a dot debuff, you would do 9% dot damage. Now it just says after any enemy is inflicted with a dot debuff, dot dealt by 9% until the battle ends. So basically before he needed to have the dot on them to get the buff. Now it's just once you've inflicted a dot once, then you just do straight out 9% the rest of the time, which is a huge change. Now down here it used to be the one where when you were attacking targets that had more HP than yourself, then you would do 4.5% 6% more damage. Now it's just a straight up 6% damage. You don't have to figure out if the enemy has more HP than you or not. You just get a 6% damage increase. And the same with this talent here. It used to be the one where once you did dot damage to targets that had above 15% health, then you would do the 6% or 9% more damage. Now it's just a straight up 9% damage, which is huge because once the enemy goes below 50%, you would normally lose the 9% damage done. Now you just gain it still. So you don't lose the damage buff here once the target goes low, which should be nice for PvE and PvP as well. And the last one has also been changed. It used to be the one where when you're attacking target with less than 50% HP, your direct damage dealt was 9%. Now it's just a straight up 9% damage in dealt, which means that a Jingle Bell, for example, will get this 9% damage done from the beginning of the battle instead of having to wait until the target gets below 50%. So also huge and very nice. And these here haven't been changed. Now in this row here only 2 changes have been made. It's this one here. It used to be the one where if the target had less defense than you, then you would take 4.5% less damage. Now it's just a straight out 4.5% less damage, which is huge for like classes that don't need the attack tree. Then you can go defense and support, and it will be very nice to take less damage. And the other one that has been changed is this one. It used to be at the beginning of the battle, if you had more than 50% HP, you would take 15% tenacity, and this is just a straight off buff now. So in the support tree we've had a few changes here. This one here, it used to be the one where when you had a shield, damage taken would be 6% less. Now it just says after receiving any shield, all damage received 6% until the battle ends. So you just need to receive a shield like from a Sun Wukong or Nordic or something like that, and the rest of the battle you will have 6% less damage. So it is not only when you have a shield, but just receiving a shield once, and then you have even if the shield goes away, you'll still take 6% less damage. So that is a huge change. Actually means that if you are buff stripped and from your shield, then you still have the 6% less damage done. The other talents here is still the same, shield effect and healing effect. Now this one here also still the same, but this one has been changed a bit. It is now this one here, where before it says that for allies with less than 50% HP you would get up to 9% healing effect. It is now 9.9% for some reason. Healing effect, very nice. And this one also been changed. It used to be the one where you got like 45 speed, I think, when you apply debuff or buff. It now says that after granting any attribute buff or inflicting any attribute debuff, self-healing effect and shield effect 8% until the battle ends. So that is good for people that needs to shield and heal, but not good for Giselle, so I need to remove that talent later. This one has not been changed, it's still the same. This one has been changed though, and it is now a healing and shield effect 6%, where before it was the one with the allies under CC, and now it's just a straight up healing and shielding effect, so very nice for support. And this one's still the same now. This one down here has been changed. It used to be the one where you had an 18% chance of your attribute debuff or buff increasing the duration by 1 turn. It's now made into this one here, where it says when inflicting a layer of buff or debuff successfully increases speed by 3 up to 5 times, so 15 speed in total. I would not recommend this talent, maybe for early game, but for late game, like I think one of the other ones here will be a better option to go for instead of 15 speed, because it's barely a blessing, right? Like you can go with a C tier, mythic tier, blessing, whatever. Even the blue blessings I think is 15 speed, so this is not worthy like how far down the line it is. Don't think it's worth it, so I think some of the other ones is better. And the one I especially think is better is this one here. It used to be 9% affected if you had more speed than the enemy, and now it's been changed to just 8% affected, which is a lot better, because this one here applies to your character sheet before battle, where the other one had to like keep testing how fast is the enemy, how fast are you, and then keep recalculating that. It would not work on Morikis, it would not work on Beatrix, for example, stuff like that, maybe up and down, but now it's just a flat out 8% affected, so it's much better. So how would I gear this, or how would I do my emblems on my Giselle now with all the changes? I would go with the attack here. And normally I would take this one, but obviously she doesn't do direct damage, so I'm gonna go with the dot damage dealt here. And then I will also go with this one down here still with the self dot damage dealt. I will go with this one for sure, where if she gets any buff she does 4.5% more damage until the battle ends. And then I'll go with this one here, where once she is flicking that dot debuff she does 9% more damage. It's huge. And I'll go with this one, all damage dealt 6%, that is huge. And the dot damage dealt 9%, huge. And mastery 30%. That is what I would do on a dot damage dealer that doesn't need crit rating, because they can't crit anyways, and we don't need direct damage. I would avoid this one just because it's not nice to take 9% more damage, especially in PvE where the bosses hit very hard, and in PvP you don't want to get killed by the enemy. And I wouldn't take any of these other ones here, because everything else is direct damage. And then I'll go with the support tree here. I'm gonna go with affected here, yes, and then I'm gonna go with this one, where once I've had a shield I take 6% less damage. That is huge. And for this row here, because we're going to have to take some of these up here, that is the issue. That is the issue though, because we need to take 2. Well, we don't really need to, but we kind of don't really lose anything by doing it, right? I don't take this one. I think that is still bad to take this one, because 9% damage taken is not good. This one is useless. Well, all of them are actually useless. The healing effect doesn't scale with her own healing, I think, so wouldn't take that either. But yeah, it is what it is. And this one, after granting any attribute buff or debuff, normally I would take this one at this time. I don't think, like, self-healing, I would need to just see if her exclusive 2 here says anything about healing. Just one moment, guys. Restores HP by 100% of damage dealt. I don't know, maybe it works on her. So just in case that it works on her, I'm going to take this one, because there are no other choices really. This one is healing effect, this one is healing and shielding effect. Before the end of the first turn of each wave, maybe you should just take this affected one. Healing effect after granting. Yeah, so I wouldn't really. I'll probably take this one here in this row, and then you have to take something here. And again, it's direct damage and direct damage, so it's kind of useless for dot damage dealer actually. So I'm just gonna go like this, because this one doesn't matter, this one doesn't matter, this one doesn't matter, so basically doesn't matter any of them. This one is still a nice one for her for sure, and I would definitely take, because I think, yes, her passive here is term meter reduction, she's immune to it, so this one is useless, this one is useless, so you can only go with this one. And then down here I take the effect hit for sure, because the other ones is, this one is nice, but this one is better, 8% more. So that is how I would put my emblems on my Giselle. Some of the choices doesn't really matter, like because you have to take some healing effect, or you have to take some direct damage effect, but this is generally how I would gear this support hero. So guys, what do you think of this update here? It's a game changing for sure, and we will have to respec a lot of our heroes, but I think once we get used to it, I think these talents are a bit better, because there are less variables about like having to check the HP of yourself or HP of the enemy, stuff like that. Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe this video if you want more content like this. Have a nice evening. Bye.